YouTube, it's me again. So it's been about a week-ish since I posted my first video, and there's been a lot of stuff that's come up that it's like I really should talk about this, and then I didn't. I haven't. I just haven't done it, and I've been terrible at keeping notes and track of what that is. So I will definitely try to do that in the future. But I guess one of the things that is really just playing with me right now is what is gender? Like, what does that even mean? And like this difference between sexual orientation and gender identification and how they interplay. Because I didn't know previously that there was even differences, and now I do. Ironically, it was through an event at church where I learned about the instead of gingerbread man, it was a genderbread person. Definitely recommend you look that up. I can link it below. And that just like really explained a lot of things, but also confused me a little bit more. So I would have said, that I was a maybe gender non-conforming person before, but I didn't realize that fell under the trans umbrella to an extent. And then I was like, I always identified as gay. I hate the word lesbian, but I never really felt that that's who I was and who I was meant to be. If that makes sense. I never liked that, and I never really even came out to people, mainly because it didn't feel right. Like, it didn't feel like that was what I was supposed to do and who I was supposed to be. So like, it was a lot easier with the LGBTQ crowd to be like, to fit in, and people just assume, hey, you're a lesbian. But I never really liked that, and I haven't really dated many people or even sought romantic relationships, mainly because of that, mainly because I was never solidified in that, and I also just never really explored that option. So one of the things that had been on my mind and that I really wanted to do this week was I wanted to talk to people and specifically talk to my friends. And I haven't really talked to many friends, but I have talked to at least one person now and kind of just explained like how confused I am and how much I just want to work through this and how I don't really identify as female. And it was a great conversation, and I have to, I'm very thankful for the friends that I have in my life. This person happened to be part of the LGBTQ umbrella, and I knew it would be pretty accepting to whatever we had to talk about, and we talk about a lot of different things in general. So it was really good to have that conversation, but it didn't really answer questions. It really didn't help me solidify things. So I guess for me, this gender identity is really just, I guess it's tough because from a physical standpoint, if you want to have this gender dysphoria, as it's now classified, that you have to be transgender under the spectrum of medical transition or whatever, like physically, it's not that like I go around it like, oh, I want male genitalia. I don't want female genitalia though. I can tell you that much. I don't want, I don't like my chest. I don't like particularly anything feminine. Male-wise, I do really see like, it's like muscle, like strength for sure. Like I lift about 3 to 4 days a week, and that's something that it's just like, that excites me. And to be able to be stronger and lift competitively more with males. I mean, I already lift more than a lot of the females that I'm around, but to lift just more in general, like that's the next level. Like that's pretty sweet. And like that excites me. And that doesn't feel like a real characteristic, right? Or just to have like those muscle growths or like even like veins popping or whatever. Like those are the things that I look at, and it's not like your primary sex characteristics. I would say mostly though, I see the quote dysphoria in my life from a social perspective. And that's the strange thing. I feel like a lot of people out there, and if you want to call them gatekeepers, I don't really know, would say that if it's strictly social, it's not really dysphoria and it's not really something trans related. And that's where, I don't know. And it's not that I'm looking outward at people and seeking their opinion. But on the other hand, I want to be solidified in a decision, and I want to have all the available resources and knowledge available in order to make my decision the best. And so for the social part, it is like, I see myself, like, I want to hang around with the guys. I want to be considered one of the guys. I want to be excited to, like, or invited to, like, the male events. So, like, oh, hey, we're going lifting, like, let's go. Or, hey, we're going to go shoot ball. Like, let's play. And I don't get that because people don't really know what to think of me. I'm not, like, one of the guys. Even though I am sometimes privy, I think, to male talk, guy talk. But I'm also privy at times to the girl talk, even though I think that I make them uncomfortable. And I personally have no idea how to contribute. Like, oh, we're talking about lipstick, makeup, boys, planning weddings, things like that. Like, that's none of my excitement and nothing that I really care about. Soap opera, any of that. And I'm not saying that that defines women and that defines men. That, I guess, is what I'm around currently, but also that internalized gender role type thing, which I know that there are people who are like, well, that's just gender roles, that's not necessarily gender identity. And I get that. But there's also an ease of, like, fitting in and feeling it comfortable with oneself. And I've really tried to figure out what that is. Is that me transitioning and being male? Or is that me just going through life as this androgynous person who is female? And that's a terrifying thing, actually. In a perfect world, would I be this androgynous female? No. I would probably I would be male. There's not a probably. I would present as male. That would be the easiest solution, but also, like, the most euphoric feeling, I think. But then you have to combat that with all the social things of, okay, well, now you are a trans man. Now you are having to come out to your family, to your friends. You're going to be at risk for your safety and health. Things that I was before, but I wasn't before. I'm not a stereotypically effeminate person. I don't think those were the right words, but, I'm not feminine. And so I didn't get the privilege of being female, ever. In terms of any, like, let's say, social stuff. But I also didn't get the privilege of being male in anything, really, either. And so I was I get this essentially discrimination on both sides. I'm neither one. No one can trust me. And that's kind of hard when you're trying to, like, meet people. And yes, there are open-minded people out there. I get it. I have amazing friends. That's not the issue. This is just kind of broad sweeps. Okay. And so it's really just diving in and figuring out what that means of what is this gender identity and how does that fit in. And I know I've rambled and I'm pushing on the long time limit and I don't want to go too much further. But any thoughts on this would be great. And I will have more directed conversations coming up. And that's something that I really want to focus on, though, is this whole gender identity. And I've been working with my therapist, and we've gone through some things, and I'm excited for the future on that. But it is something that is just like, I don't really understand this, and is this just more of a desire, or is this more of a who I am? And am I mixing them in the wrong way? And I know that those are all signs that probably I'm letting society get the better of me, and I should just do what I want and what makes me happy. because there's nothing wrong with being a trans person. But that's where I'm at right now. And I wish all of you people out there a lovely day, a lovely weekend, a lovely week, month, year, whenever you're viewing this. I hope that you have a great day, and thank you for listening. Have a good one.